Oh, okay. So it's
on,
important to reapply
right
a certain amount of time.
Right, and that time depends on what level you have. Some are 15, some are 30. Just depending on what level you have, that determines how much you need to reapply it.
Oh, okay.
So definitely read the directions on the back of your bottle to tell you how to.
So do you think if you're more like fair skin, like you said, with a little less what is it called? Melatonin. I can never say that word. Melanin. Melanin.
Yes. Well, okay, so the Fitzpatrick scale tells you about your skin. So people who have red hair and freckles are more likely to burn. Now, there are some...
So they have to use more,
yes,
stronger SPF.
I would definitely advise that if nothing else, before your lotion, put on your SPF in the, in the summer especially, because their skin tends to burn a little more than others. And then you have some Mediterranean people, their skin, will burn, not so much. And then you have, our skin type, which has a little more melanin.
We have that pretty caramel.
Now, don't get me wrong. Your skin can burn if you're, out in the sun all day long. Yeah, it can happen. It's less likely to, but it can happen. So yes, if you know that you're spending the day out at the beach, I would put some
and for a long time I did not know that black people can burn.
Yes, ma'am, they can burn.
I mean, really, I really did not know that.
Yes, ma'am.
And it wasn't until I seen my uncle and his nose was peeling, and I was like, what is going on there? What is that on your nose? Why is it peeling? And he was like, I'm sunburned. I was like, what do you mean? And I was like young, early 20s, and I was like, what do you mean? Black people can't burn? He was like, yes, they can. So that was an interesting.
Yes,
that was an interesting conversation. So, can you tell us about your up-and-coming projects?
Oh, yes. So I will be opening my schedule in March for new clients. I have a studio for the local listeners in the Pembroke area. So that is my baby I have been working on.
Now, Pembroke area, where exactly is that area?
The Pembroke Mall area is off of Independence exit.
Virginia
Beach, Virginia.
Okay, so we're talking about Virginia Beach. Okay,
yes, Virginia Beach.
So, and then once that's up, is it by appointment only that you're doing your, once you open the studio?
Yes, ma'am. I work by appointments only because I do wear many hats.
I know you do. I know you do.
Mommy and wife, soon to be student again. I work a full-time job.
Soon to be student. Okay,
yes,
what is it that you're going to be taking?
It's a secret.
Oh,
no, I'm joking. No, I'm joking on that. I just,
tell us. We want to know.
I'm thinking about going into the nursing field.
Oh, wow. And are you still going to be doing the esthetician?
Oh, yes. Absolutely.
Wow. Okay.
Absolutely.
Oh, great.
Yes.
RN?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, okay. Well, good luck with that.
Thank you so much.
That is great. Alicia, you just wear so many hats. I'm just, gosh, I don't know how you do it.
I have to.
So what would you advice be? What would your advice be to all the listeners to inspire them to follow their dreams?
You have to work at your dream, because if you don't, it will continue to be just that, a dream. And no one else is going to care about your dream more than you do. So you definitely have to work at it, put it in action, make it come true. Dreams do come true. They do.
So just don't give up.
Don't give up. You have to believe in yourself.
So I think sometimes the way you grow up, may have one parent in the household, or not a father role model, or whatever the case may be. Mm-hmm. Sometimes, children get discouraged from following their dreams.
Oh, no, ma'am. Your dreams are meant for you. And you have to follow them. You have to make them come true.
Finding your purpose.
Oh, yes. Finding your purpose.
As we discussed earlier in the show.
And I will tell you, I have had to start over many times. But I was determined. And I sometimes it gets frustrating, but it's my dream and I had to make it come true. I want to be able to tell my kids about it. Like, baby, look what mommy did. Look at this. This is amazing.
And what made you stay so focused? Because babies. You got married, you had kids, but yet you still stayed driven. What was that drive, that inner drive that just made you keep going and say, I want to be successful in my life, no matter if I'm, married, no matter if I'm a mother, a wife, a mother. You still had that drive to, to keep going for you. So,
I can always hear my parents say, failure is not an option. It is not an option. And it's by any means necessary. You have to do it. It's not an option. And every time I get tired and I don't want to get up today and I don't want to do it. And I can hear my dad saying, it's not an option. You have to. And then it keeps me going.
So who was that one person that inspired you growing up? If you had to pick one person that inspires you growing up, who would that one person be? And why?
My mother. My mother. She is the most amazing person ever. And to the listeners who know me and know my family, they know that, my mother she's just everything. Like, she's just everything to me. I absolutely adore her. And I learned so much from her.
So what was that like growing up in that household of that kind of inspiration?
Well, it wasn't until I got older and got to know her as a friend that I got to realize. Because growing up was hard. My parents were very strict. It was not like, oh, you're not going to hang out in the streets. You're not
Where
going
did you
to
grow up?
I am from New Jersey.
Oh, okay. New Jersey.
Jersey City, New Jersey. And I completed high school in Norfolk, Virginia.
Okay.
But I was always back and forth. Like, when I moved to Virginia, I moved here with my mother. And my father stayed back. So I would often, it was hard for me to adapt to life in Virginia. And I found myself getting into a lot of trouble. So I would go back home where I was more comfortable. And I felt like I could, just be myself there. I could fit in there. I was still trying to find myself. So I felt at home there. That's where, I have a deep connection to my family and my people and my surroundings in Jersey. Like, that's, still, that's where my heart is, in Jersey. I love it.
Yeah. So it was definitely, life was definitely structured, but at the same time, your mother was hard on you.
Oh, absolutely structured.
Was that persevering, she was pushing you to succeed in
she was,
school.
She was
and
always,
what about education?
She was always
what do you feel?
What
is your outlook on that, education? You have children. And I know that you are an amazing mother. You talk about your kids all the time. And I wanted to ask you to touch on that because, health and beauty and education, I think that's all under the, realm of successful and beautiful women and men. So what is your outlook on education, especially with our children?
Education is everything. Once you have that, it's like no one can take that from you. You have to educate yourself beyond what you're taught in school. It is important to educate the kids on finances, nutrition, family values, respect for themselves, respect for others. I try to teach my kids to be happy so that they will know the value of things and people. Some things are just priceless, and it is very important to me to educate them. Sometimes I get resistance, especially from my son who wants to run outside and play all day. So it's not, always sitting down in the books with them. It's like teaching them, being good examples for them, having them watch you go through your everyday life so they can see what life really is like. And it's important. I try to be a good example to my kids. But as I say, especially for my 2-year-old, I learn a lot from her. I learn a lot from myself. Because sometimes, kids see things that we don't. We get so wrapped up in everyday life, we forget the more simple things in life. And to kids, it seems to me that the more simple things are all that matter. Like, she just, she finds so much joy in just the every morning when we go outside, she looks for the moon. Every morning. And then if we don't see the moon at our house, she said, Mommy is waiting for me at school. So when she gets out the car, she looks for that moon. And who thinks to find where the moon is in the morning? You know, like that is just
Isn't that is so special. I mean, I just
things.
You know, it is the little things. That's just crazy how, you know, kids can teach us things like that. That it's just little things that are so important, you know. So I just want to know, as a woman, is it harder, you think, to start your own business?
It is hard. It's hard It is hard. I do. I think it is hard. I was like, I do.
Because it takes a lot.
It takes a lot. You know, sometimes people don't take you serious.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, but, you know, as long as you have the proper education as far as, like, finances and things like finances is the most important thing. When you're thinking about
do anything,
investing your money and things like that and your time, you have to, you know, be good at time management, managing your finances, good at, you know, your skill. You know, there's always someone who does what you do, but they can't do it like you do. So that, you know, all those things play a part in it. And, you know, I think it can be just as hard for men, though. It can.
Right.
Because you can have all the tools and not the proper knowledge, and that can be a problem.
Okay. Quickly, I know I'm keeping you.
Oh, you're fine.
I know I'm keeping you, and my apologies, Alicia, but I just had a few more questions for you. I really wanted to know, for our young ladies or men out there who wanted to get started as far as going to school to be an esthetician, how would they get started in this particular field?
I would say, well, definitely there is a school in Virginia Beach, Charism Institute for Aesthetics. That is a school that I went to.
Okay.
Make sure that it is aesthetics that you want, because I have come across a lot of young ladies who want to be makeup artists, and they find themselves in aesthetic school, and you're not going to, I mean, they touch on makeup, but they're not teaching you how to be a makeup artist.
Okay.
So make sure you find out that this is what you want to do. Yes, there is definitely a difference.
Okay.
You know, makeup artists, they paint a pretty picture. Estheticians, you know, we, you know, focus more on the skincare rather than the put your makeup back on and make it look beautiful. While most of us can do that, you know, that's not what you're going to get from aesthetic school.
Okay. And is there any good jobs in our local area for estheticians?
You can create them.
Opening up your studio.
You can create them.
And again, can you tell our listeners how would they go? Do you have a website, phone number? How would they get in touch with you if you had any good tips, if they wanted to call you or email you with questions, especially because you're about to open up your own studio and they can start making reservations. When are you starting to take reservations?
I will start taking appointments in March. The best way to contact me would be through my email, faceoff1219@gmail.com. I see Tamara grabbed your pen.
I did. Face off.
1219 at
gmail.com.
Yes.
Is there any other way, or is this the best way?
That's the best way
to make appointments.
That's the best way to contact me.
And that will be starting when?
March.
One more time?
Starting March.
So you can start emailing. You hear this, listeners, that you can start making appointments starting in March. I'm not sure if we have a particular day, but March is good because March is just around the corner.
March is just around the corner. It's
right.
The end of this week. Yeah.
Right. Absolutely. So good. I just want to say, Alicia, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I want to thank you again for coming. I appreciate it. I hope that we can speak again because I really enjoyed our conversation. And I'm sure you've given so much information to our listeners, and I'm sure they will enjoy I'm sure it was, because there was a lot of things that I did not know. The T zone and